movie starts with a group of high school students on a bus, heading to Columbia University for a school trip. Among them is a boy named Peter, the main character of our story. Peter is portrayed as an awkward and somewhat nerdy young man who has a crush on his classmate Mary. However, Peter is often teased by Mary's friends, who see him as unfashionable and socially awkward. Peter's only friend is Harry, a wealthy boy whose father is a prominent scientist at Columbia University. In contrast, Peter is an orphan living with his uncle and aunt. At the university, the students are introduced to various species of spiders in a genetic lab, where they learn about the unique traits of each. While taking photos of Mary, whom he secretly admires, Peter is bitten by a genetically altered spider that had escaped from its containment. After returning home, Peter begins to feel unwell and collapses. As he sleeps, his body undergoes a transformation. His DNA begins to merge with that of the spider, turning him into something beyond human. Meanwhile, Harry's father, a brilliant but troubled scientist, is shown developing a powerful weapon for the military. Desperate to succeed, he tests the weapon on himself, but the experiment goes horribly wrong, driving him insane and leading him to kill his assistant. The next day, Peter wakes up to discover he has developed new powers. His vision is suddenly perfect. His once scrawny physique has become muscular, and he feels stronger and more agile than ever before. At school, he uses these newfound abilities to save Mary from a fall, impressing her in the process. However, during lunch, Peter notices something strange. Webbing is shooting out from his wrists. As he struggles to control it, he accidentally causes a scene, leaving his classmates in shock. Later, Peter realizes he can stick to walls and climb them just like a spider. Excited by these abilities, he decides to test them out by entering a local wrestling match, hoping to win some money. Before doing so, Peter designs a costume and adopts the identity of Spider-Man. On the way to the match, his uncle gives him some advice. With great power comes great responsibility. Peter easily wins the wrestling match, but the promoter cheats him out of his earnings. Moments later, a thief robs the promoter and escapes, with Peter choosing not to intervene. Soon after, Peter is devastated to learn that the same thief has killed his uncle while stealing his car. Racked with guilt, Peter tracks down the thief, who ultimately falls to his death during their confrontation. At the same time, Harry's father, now fully consumed by madness, uses a metallic suit and glider, products of his failed experiments, to destroy his corporate rivals' experiments. This act establishes him as the film's main antagonist. Peter, now a high school graduate, recalls his uncle's words about responsibility. Determined to use his powers for good, Peter dons his Spider-Man suit and starts fighting crime, his sharpened senses and agility allowing him to protect the city. As Spider-Man becomes more well-known, public opinion is divided. Some see him as a hero, while others view him as a menace. To support himself, Peter takes a job selling photos of Spider-Man to a local newspaper. The editor, who is skeptical of Spider-Man, pays Peter well for the exclusive photos, unaware that Peter is actually Spider-Man. Harry's father, now entirely deranged, is fired from his company, which drives him to attack the world's Unity Fair. Peter, attending the fair to take photos, senses that something is wrong. The mad scientist arrives on his glider, initially mistaken by the crowd for a new high-tech invention. As he begins his rampage, destroying buildings and causing chaos, Spider-Man springs into action, saving lives, including Mary's. A fierce battle between Spider-Man and the scientist ensues, with Spider-Man ultimately forcing the scientist to retreat, who ominously promises that they will meet again. The The scientist later attempts to recruit Spider-Man to join him in ruling the world, but Spider-Man refuses, committed to using his powers to help others. In retaliation, the scientist sets a building on fire, prompting Spider-Man to rush in and save those trapped inside, including Mary. Realizing that Peter is Spider-Man after noticing a wound on his hand, the scientist targets Peter's aunt, leaving her hospitalized after a brutal attack. As tensions rise, Harry mistakenly believes that Peter and Mary are romantically involved, which fuels his father's anger towards Peter. The scientist kidnaps Mary and sets a deadly trap for Spider-Man, forcing him to choose between saving Mary or a group of children. In a dramatic showdown, Spider-Man manages to save both, but not without a fierce battle that leaves him exhausted. Despite his injuries, Spider-Man ultimately defeats the scientist, who tries to kill Spider-Man with his glider, but ends up impaled by it instead. In the film's final scenes, Peter visits his uncle's grave, weighed down by the responsibilities that come with his powers. Mary confesses her love for him, but Peter remains distant, knowing that his duty as Spider-Man must come first.